Text your ex back. Module 10.
Hey, it's Mike, and welcome to Module 10 of the Text Your Ex Back system. We're actually going to give you not one, but two rather powerful types of text that you can use in this module. So first, you're going to have Module 10a, and then you're going to have Module 10. It goes in that order. I still think it should go the other way, but my team who put this together is doing the British style or something. I don't quite get it, but that's okay. So Module 10a, Watering the Tree, is really about emotional honesty texts. So if you're like a lot of people, one of the reasons you may have broken up was because of a lack of communication, possibly. If you're a guy, have you ever heard a woman say, "You never talk to me"? Ever? Usually through tears and while throwing things at that point. I certainly have. And I think most guys have. You know, one of the biggest complaints that women have about men, particularly, is that we are kind of closed off. And a lot of my other programs, I talk about why men are not as emotionally open as women are. But even if you're a woman, read this, go through it, do the work. These can be very, very powerful. In this section, you're going to learn all about how to write emotional honesty text, where you're basically going to tell your ex how you actually feel about them, free of all bitterness and anger. You're just going to go out there and you're going to say, lay your cards on the table. Again, you may have noticed all of our previous modules, we were kind of moving from a place of detachment to a place of honesty. That's where we're kind of going. And the detachment is really powerful and useful because you need to show your ex that you're not obsessed with them, that you're not crazy, right? That you're okay with the breakup. And now we're moving more towards, hey, I do find you interesting. I really value what we had. You'll always be there for me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a way of using the idea that texting is private, safe, and simple. So go through this and make sure you really pay attention to the rules of emotional honesty text. And I'll go through these really quickly myself. One is, for this kind of text where you're laying your heart on the table to some degree, read and reread what you say. Two is to never put any negativity into your emotional honesty text. As I like to say, contempt kills relationships. And so your emotional honesty texts need to be straightforward, but not needy, right? You don't want your text to be something like, I can't live without you. That's not going to work. That's negative in its own kind of way, right? You're putting too much weight on the other person. Three is, you need to write what you need to write. Take your time and write as much as you need to. You don't need to worry about your text being too long. I mean, obviously it shouldn't be this big, but a few paragraphs, no big deal. Go for it. And make sure every word earns its place. Not a lot of extra stuff, not a lot of justification. And no expectations is really a big one. Oftentimes when you're putting your heart on the table like this, it can be really with the idea that you're like, okay, this is going to be some big movie moment where they're going to swoon over you and come rushing towards you through your phone somehow, which I think is impossible. That's not the point. And the point, again, like I said before, the point is not to get a response. The point is to deliver the message. You need to be patient. Oftentimes when you send an emotional honesty text, you will not get a response. You might get a response that's like, I can't believe you finally said that. Why couldn't you say that before? You might get a response saying, it's too late. That doesn't necessarily mean the game is over, by the way. You might get no response at all. That's okay. In this document, you'll learn all about kind of what to do there, and I'll give you the formulas for emotional honesty text, how to give a compliment text, an appreciation text, a how I feel text, which is very, very powerful, what I miss text, and other types from there. And then, in the second part of this module, Module 10, we will get to reaping the harvest. These are called attraction texts. And we're giving them to you side by side because I just feel like it's time to give you more cool stuff to deal with. Attraction texts are all about building up emotional and really physical attraction. If you've been through any of my previous programs, you may have noticed that we do a lot of stuff around attraction. You know, text the romance back, text your wife into bed. All of these things are really around the idea of building attraction with your ex, right? Because, like, here's the cool thing about attraction. Attraction is not a choice. Nobody ever chooses to be attracted to a man or a woman. And when you are attracted to somebody, you don't think rationally. And rational thought is kind of what's keeping you away from your ex in a lot of ways. Your ex is kind of at the point where they've justified the breakup in some point. They've said, well, you know, we broke up, and obviously the breakup was a good idea because blah, 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 whatever it's going to be. And they've thought of all these reasons. But if you can create attraction in your ex where they feel physically and emotionally attracted to you, really physically is probably the most powerful part of it, then all of that rational stuff is going to go out the door, right? All of that rationalization is going to go. So in this section, you're going to learn all about rules for attraction texting with men and rules for attraction texting with women, because they are different. If you're gay or lesbian, by the way, just use the one that goes with the sex of the person you're trying to attract. That's the way to do it, right? And then we're going to go through and actually give you the formula, the curiosity text, the sexy story text, a G-rated attraction text that are a little less dirty. And then, of course, getting into the actually dirtier stuff from there and what kind of reactions you're going to get. Now, if you really want to get deeply into the dirty stuff, the sexting, as it were, which can be very, very powerful, we talk about that a lot more in some of my other programs. We just didn't have room. It's a huge subject all by itself. Text the romance back and text your wife into bed, which women also buy too, by the way. Go into that stuff with a lot of detail about how to really crawl into a man's mind and a woman's mind. Okay, so that's what you get in this module. And then next... you're doing great. Now you know all of the text your ex back text types, and we're going to go into, from here, we're going to talk about how to kind of put it all together and what to do next. Bye-bye.
To get access to full Text Your Ex Back program, click on the link given below this video in the description.